having just seen another very skilled hunter defeat a huge magical creature all by himself. The third hunter didn't want to upset someone so powerful who regularly completed difficult challenges. "My necktie," he said sadly and took off his tie. A short time later Thomas walked into the dining hall, humming a little tune. He stopped walking when he saw Laura, who was in charge of the best hunters at Scavenger Guild. Thomas showed her his tie as she came closer. "What do you think of my tie? It looks nice, but it doesn't really match your shirt, does it not?" Thomas took off the tie and put it in a garbage can nearby. "Yes, I didn't think so." Laura was used to Thomas being a little unusual, so she quickly started talking about what was wrong. "We have a problem." Thomas looked up. He knew that if Laura came to talk to him instead of calling, it must be serious. "What's the problem?" Laura asked, sounding worried. They announced which groups are invited to the International Guild Conference, and the Ajin Guild from Korea is on the list. Ajin Guild. Thomas felt uneasy. His voice became serious. Laura nodded. "Yes, that's the group Hunter Sung recently created. There it was." Thomas sighed. So he is coming to America. In a small town in Ishikawa. Many people had gathered, even though it was early in the morning. "What is happening? Why is everyone here?" One man asked his neighbors. The town was supposed to be fixing things up, but people were just standing around instead of working. He had been working hard to clear away broken pieces from the damaged building, so he was surprised to see his neighbors behaving like this. A woman who was usually kind began to explain what was happening, but she stopped when she saw a vehicle coming toward them. "Oh my, he's coming. He's here." The crowd got very excited, like they were welcoming someone they hadn't seen in a long time. But it couldn't be him. The man was curious and used a towel to wipe his neck. "Does anyone know who is coming?" An older man seemed annoyed by the question. "People say the hunter is on his way." "The hunter? Which one? Who else could it be?" The people in the village waved excitedly as a car got closer. They looked very happy and thankful. "Wait a minute." The man suddenly understood who everyone was talking about, and quickly looked behind him. He looked at the ruined village, with broken tools and machines scattered around. If no one had stopped the giant, the village would have been completely destroyed. The schools he went to, the roads he traveled, the places where he worked so hard, his hometown full of good memories, would have been gone forever. He felt very sad, just thinking about it, and his eyes started to water. Was he really coming here? He looked back at the road. The people in the village hadn't been told to come together by their leaders to pretend everything was okay. They had gathered on their own. They had decided to do it themselves because they were very thankful. The man quickly joined in the happy feeling and shouted while waving a towel. "Whoa!" The dark-colored van driving down the street was new, but it was covered in dirt, making it look quite old. The stamp on the license plate from the Hunters Association of Japan was hard to see clearly. The van looked like it had been through a tough time, and this made the villagers feel even more moved. Some of them were crying. Then the van stopped gently. "Yay! Mr. Hunter." Jinyo, wearing sunglasses, stepped out of the driver's seat and was greeted with cheers from the crowd. Jinyo waved to everyone in the village. Mr. Hunter, a worker from the Hunters Association of Japan, had been waiting for them. It was hard for him to get through the crowd to reach Jinyo. He finally caught his breath and asked, "Are you Hunter Jin Woo-sung?" The worker spoke Japanese, but Jinho understood some of it. No. Jinho shook his head and pointed up at the sky. "There, Kreese." Kaisel the winged dragon let out a happy roar. "What is that? Huh? Just like when you get burned twice." The people were scared of the creature flying above them. They had been afraid of giants for a while, but Kaisel just kept circling. Kree. Once the people realized Kaisel wasn't going to hurt them, they looked at the dragon with a mix of amazement and fear. Right then, a dark figure jumped down from Kaisel's back. It landed with a thud. The people in the village were amazed as Jinwoo landed softly using his special ability. The man from the association who was standing nearest to Jinwoo could only stare, holding his glasses. Jinyo spoke for him. "Sir, this man wanted to speak with you." "Oh, really?" Jinwoo walked over to the worker. The worker seemed to wake up when Jinwoo stood before him. He had been told not to show any weakness around such a skilled hunter. He bowed respectfully, feeling a little dizzy. "It's good to meet you, Hunter Sung. My name is Hiroshi Tanaka, and I'm with the Hunters Association of Japan, from the Kanazawa branch." He looked up. I'm here to help you today. Please let me know if you need anything. Hiroshi spoke everything in Japanese. Jinwoo glanced at Jinyu. Jinyu glanced at Jinwoo. Jinyu's happy smile showed he didn't even want to try to understand what the worker had said. Jinwoo sighed and called forth a shadow warrior who could translate for them. My Lord Baru appeared and bowed to Jinwoo. He turned to the worker. I will help this man. Wait, that could mean something else entirely. Jinwoo wasn't the only one who was surprised. Hiroshi and the people in the village were shocked. Human. Baru stood up straight and walked toward Hiroshi. What would you like to tell my king? The people watching were very surprised. This was the first time Jinhyo had seen a shadow soldier talk. He turned to Jinwoo surprised. Boss, can he talk? Yes. Baru's voice was loud like a growl, but he spoke Japanese very well. That made sense because most of the people Baru had eaten were from Japan. Jinwoo felt a headache starting just thinking about it. Baru turned back to him after talking to the worker. My king, this man will be your guide in the village, and will try his best to help you. But what did you say to make him look so scared? I told him that if he did anything wrong, I would punish him severely. Oh, I understand. It didn't really matter anyway. As long as everyone understood each other. Hiroshi seemed really upset that someone else had taken his place behind Jinwoo. Please follow me. Jinwoo nodded, feeling bad for the man. He looked very shocked. Alright. Hiroshi led their group to an empty storage room that was further inside the village. One of the walls had fallen down, and a giant creature lay inside on its back. It's right here. Hiroshi pointed to the creature and moved aside. Jinwoo walked closer to look at it. The creature's body showed signs of a hard fight, with bite marks and pieces of skin torn off. Did you all eat this? Jinwoo looked at Baru, wondering if she and the others had been responsible. The ant was bent over, bowing deeply as if it was very sorry. It reminded Jinhyo of a boss bowing to someone higher up at work. Jinwoo looked back at the huge creature. He knew he could collect its shadow, as long as enough of the body was left. But something didn't feel right. Jinwoo was traveling across Japan to collect the shadows of the giants. His shadow soldiers had defeated. He realized he could figure out which of his soldiers had fought which monster by looking at what was left. The remains from the ant army were all broken in a similar way. Sai Jinwoo said, as he looked at the monster that seemed to have been eaten alive. He rolled up his sleeves and held out his hand to the large figure. He said seriously, stand up. The people who had followed them were very surprised as a huge soldier, looking completely healthy, jumped up from the darkness. The soldier knelt in front of Jinwoo. Boom, Jinwoo had successfully brought out his 27th shadow soldier. That meant only 2 more to go. Jinwoo smiled as he looked up at the tall, strong giant. At the same time in South Korea, President Go was changing channels on the TV in his office at the Hunters Association headquarters, using the remote control. News about Jinwoo's performance in Japan was everywhere, both in Korea and around the world. People all over the planet knew the name Jinwoo sung. President Go was very happy and kept smiling, as if he were the hunter everyone was talking about. He was glad he hadn't stopped Jinwoo from going. That would have been the biggest mistake of his life. Jinwoo helping to solve the problem made Korean hunters more respected around the world. Some people even started saying Korea could become a very powerful country. That's why President Go was so proud of, and thankful for Jinwoo's help. But one thing still worried him. President Go just then Jin Chul-woo, the youngest person ever to lead a department in the association, knocked on the door and came inside. He nodded politely and gave his report. The magical creature has changed where it is going and is now heading to China. Is that so? This was surprising. While Jinwoo was dealing with the large creatures in Japan, one had swum into the East Ocean. The creature first seemed to be traveling toward the Pacific Ocean, but it unexpectedly changed direction and began heading toward China. What is China doing about it? Ji Ganglo will take care of the problem himself. President Go sat back on the couch. It looks like things are under control now. Ji Jigan, one of the best hunters in the world, dealt with the giant. It would be defeated before it even reached China. President Go seemed relieved. It wasn't heading toward Korea while Jinwoo was away. Jinshul smiled at President Go's relief. But then he noticed something on the TV screen that worried him. The screen showed pictures of the damage in Japan, people who were hurt and calling for help, and workers trying to fix things and rescue people. That's terrible, Jinchul said, looking sad. It really is, President Go agreed. They remembered feeling the same sadness when Jeju Island was damaged 4 years earlier. Those memories were still painful, especially because they were still working to rebuild. But sometimes, even when something bad happens, it can help others, the president said. I'm sorry, sir, Jinchul asked. Do you know how Japan became one of the wealthiest countries after losing the war, and having so many financial problems? Was it because of the Korean War? Jinchul asked. Exactly. It was a good thing for the economy that came from the war. Something similar is happening now in Korea. President Go looked upset as he placed his hand on a stack of papers. These papers contained statements from Korean businesses that wanted to help rebuild Japan. Korean companies were quick to offer their help. Some people sent in their offers right after Jinwoo went to Japan, and many others were ready to start working immediately. When someone is hurting, it can create an opportunity for others, or help them get what they want. Jinchul understood what President Go meant, and he felt a similar anger in his own eyes. He suddenly remembered something. Oh yes, President Go. Yes? I heard that President Matsumoto from the Hunters Association of Japan gave himself up. He did. Why would someone who didn't seem to care about doing the right thing change his mind? Before President Go could ask for more information, his phone rang, ring. The voice on the other end sounded worried. President Go, it's me. It was his doctor, but he was usually very busy with patients at this time of day. What's wrong? I'm calling because I thought this was important. Important. President Go was starting to feel worried. Several thoughts went through his head, but he couldn't have guessed what his doctor was about to say. President Go, do you know anything about Chairman Yu's health? Chairman Yu was a major supporter of the Hunters Association of Korea, and a friend of President Go. What could have happened to him? Chairman Yu was brought to our hospital today. President Go immediately stood up. Is this an emergency? I'm sorry, there was nothing anyone could do to help him. The room became very quiet. After a moment, the doctor spoke softly. Chairman Yu has entered the final stage of the eternal sleep disease. The people at the Hunters Association of Japan couldn't work because reporters and news people kept calling, wanting to talk to Hunter Jin Woo-sung. Re-D. Thank you for calling the Hunters Association of Japan. This is the person who called a little while ago. Maybe we can just have questions and answers show up on the screen instead of showing Hunter Sung's face. Sir, that still feels like an interview. No, we could just put text on the screen instead of showing him. I'm sorry, but Hunter Sung doesn't want to be on TV or do interviews.
Click.
Ring. Thank you for calling the Hunters Association of Japan. I'm calling from XXTV and I wanted to ask. I'm sorry, but we are not interested. Click. They got so many calls like this every day that it was hard to get anything else done. The department head always got a bad headache when the phone rang. It seems everyone is very interested in Hunter Sung. Who wouldn't be interested in the man who saved Japan after almost 40% of the country was destroyed? Everyone wondered what Jinwoo was like, and what he would say. But that didn't matter right now. Hunter Sung didn't want to talk to reporters. As a leader at the Hunters Association of Japan, it was the department head's job to say no to all requests from the media, respecting Hunter Sung's wishes. He didn't want to upset the person who had saved their country. The department head nodded to show he understood, and would follow these instructions. Just then, a new employee walked up to him, looking worried. Excuse me, sir. The manager stopped him quickly. Tell them no. He didn't need to hear what the employee wanted. Someone important from a TV station or newspaper had likely been angry with the new employee, so he came to ask his boss. That's not what I meant, sir. We received a phone call from Korea. From Korea. Dun-hee Go from the Hunters Association of Korea says he needs to speak with the person in charge. The manager was now very worried. Gun-hee Go, you said. Yes, sir. There couldn't be another Gun-hee Go working at the Hunters Association of Korea. Everyone knew Jinwoo worked with the Hunters Association of Korea, and wasn't it President Go who had told people Jinwoo wanted to help Japan? The manager hurried to his desk shouting, "Get me this call. Now." Yes, sir. Hello, President Go. This is the department head. The manager was still a little unsure when he answered the phone, but he was surprised to hear Japanese spoken so clearly on the other end. Yes. Yes. I understand. Yes, I will contact him immediately. Jinhyu kept watching it over and over, And he never got bored. Wow, he couldn't help but say it again with excitement. Seeing the large black creature come out of the body of a giant and kneel to show it would be loyal to Jinwoo was like something from a film. It always surprised Jinyo. You are so great, boss. Jinyo looked at Jinwoo with respect as he heard people exclaim behind them. Wow, how can he do that? What is that thing? Even though Jinyo had seen this happen many times, he was still amazed. It was no wonder the people in the village were shocked. Even though he didn't understand their language, he could figure out what they were saying. Jinyo felt a surge of pride, as if they were talking about him. Then, someone from the Hunters Association of Japan spoke. Are you Mr. Hunter? Oh, if you mean my boss, he is over there. Jinyo pointed to Jinwoo, thinking the man was looking for him. But the employee shook his head and pointed at Jinyo instead. He then switched to English and said, No, no. Jinyo looked surprised. Me. Yes. Jinyo was confused by the short conversation, but he took the cell phone that was offered to him. As he listened, his face became serious, and he kept saying yes until he ended the call. Jinwoo left the damaged storage unit after putting away the large shadow creature, and Jinyo quickly came to him, looking down. I'm sorry, boss, he said, but I think I need to go back to Korea. Jinwoo noticed the worried look on Jinyo's face. Is something wrong? Jinwoo asked. I'm not sure. I just received word to go back to Korea because of a family issue. Jinwoo stayed quiet, but he had a feeling he knew what was happening. Chairman Yu was sick. If that was the reason, Jinwoo understood why the caller hadn't explained everything on the phone. Jinwoo didn't ask anything else. I understand. Thank you for your help. It was nothing. I'm sorry I can't stay with you longer. Jinwoo apologized again before getting into a car sent by the Hunters Association of Japan. He was going to the airport. Jinwoo quietly watched the car drive away. Jinwoo tried to seem calm when he talked to Jinwoo, but he couldn't hide how worried he was. He had to go. He wished he could stay and help, but he couldn't. He felt bad leaving Jinwoo alone with such difficult news about his father, who was very sick and unable to wake up. This was the first time he had ever heard his mother's usually kind voice tremble. What was happening? Jinyo's heart beat faster. Was his father upset that he had followed Jinwoo to Japan without asking? What parent would be okay with their child facing danger? He stared out the car window, then quickly shook his head. No, he shouldn't think about that right now. Worrying about what might happen would just give him a headache. It might not be anything at all. Jinyo held on to that idea until his plane landed at Incheon Airport. Jinyo. Mr. Kim, the assistant to Chairman Yo, was there to meet him. When Jinyo saw the older man's teary eyes, he immediately knew something important had occurred. Mr. Kim, the car is waiting for you. Please come with me. Jinyo really wanted to know what was happening, but he was too afraid to ask. Let's go quickly. Secretary Kim guided him toward the door. Oh, Jinyo suddenly felt like he couldn't move. Secretary Kim put a hand on Jinyo's shoulder, seeming to understand how he felt, though his face showed he was worried too. Jinyo, you need to be brave right now. I will tell you everything as we go. Tears filled Jinyo's eyes, and just like he promised, Secretary Kim explained what happened to Chairman Yu while they were driving. Jinyo couldn't believe it. It didn't seem real, but when he saw his father sleeping through the glass window at the hospital, he knew Secretary Kim was telling the truth, and he had to accept it. He always thought of his father as a strong man, and he felt very sad to see him lying weak in the hospital bed. Father, the doctors stopped Jinyo from running into the room. If someone who couldn't control magic came too close, his father would get even sicker. Jinyo looked upset, as he listened to them explain. I understand. Jinyo had always felt like he hadn't lived up to his father's expectations, but he never thought he wouldn't have a chance to say goodbye. It felt like another failure. It seems I can't even do this one thing right. Feeling sad, Jinyo turned away from his father, and saw Secretary Kim standing there with a black briefcase. What is this? Jinyo asked. Taking the folder, Secretary Kim explained. Chairman Yu was working on this before he became ill. I kept it safe in case he wanted it when he woke up. But I think you need to see it first. Jinyo. Me. Jinyo looked from Secretary Kim to the folder and carefully opened it. Inside were newspaper articles about his older brother, Jin-sung, and older sister, Jin-yi. They were arranged like a memory book or scrapbook. Jinyo often thought about where his love of making scrapbooks came from, and it turned out it started with his father. He didn't realize his father enjoyed this hobby. He smiled when he looked at old pictures of his father's brothers and sisters. His brother and sister always made their father very proud. They were known as smart people in everything they did, winning competitions and doing well in performances. Of course, the scrapbook had many articles about them. Jinyo felt a little embarrassed that there were no pictures of him. But then he turned to the last page and stopped. Who is Jinyo Yu? Vice President of Ajin Guild. The 2 hunters going to Japan. The D-rank hunter's decision. Was it courageous or risky? All the articles were about Jinyo.